Hello, it's Adedoyin Jaiyesimi here, and welcome to my YouTube channel. The topic for today is inspired by a question that I got asked during a webinar, and I was telling the person I was telling the group that I created a cheat sheet, which is a list of resources, materials that are valuable for comms and PR people. And the person then said, Adedoyin, is there a cheat sheet for becoming a comms expert? And I just laughed. So I gave her the answer on that call, but I just thought, let me just do a video for people that are looking for a hack, a shortcut to becoming an expert in this field of communications and public relations. As always, I'm just sharing my perspective and my thoughts about that, and then you take what you can from it. I'm going to start by talking about the concept of apprenticeship. I read a lot about craftsmen, people that make gold, people that make pottery vases, sculptures, all of those things. And when you read about how much effort is put into the work, how they learn, so they learn through apprenticeship. You have someone that's looking at how the person is, whether it's hammering or is molding or is whatever it is. They don't give you a list and say, oh master, you learn by doing, you learn by observing. And that's really, really the beginning. If you want to become an expert in communications and public relations, there is a place for apprenticeship. There is a place for learning by doing. You can get all of the head knowledge, you can watch all of my videos, you can read all of the books and resources I've been recommending, but if you don't actually do those things, you're not going to get the same results. So there is that part that you actually need. So someone that's looking for a shortcut that will say, what can I master quickly? It comes with doing, and you do it over and over and over again till you gain mastery, and that's where expertise comes. So if you see someone that is an amateur person in terms of developing sculpture, or let's even say making gold or whatever craft it is, when they first start out, it's not as great as an expert's own. There are mistakes here, but as they apply themselves to the rigor of the process, they apply themselves in terms of developing their skill and craftsmanship, you begin to see the difference in their work. It's the same thing for becoming an expert in comms. So essentially, all that long story is to say, there is no shortcut. There is no cheat sheet. You have to go through your process. The benefit that you have is that you can learn from those who have gone ahead. You can learn from their experiences. You can learn from their mistakes. You can learn from their hacks and the tips that they share. But the reality of it is that you have to take all of that learning and apply it and go through your own process. For example, if you take crisis communications, you cannot become an expert in managing a crisis if you haven't gone through the rigor of it over time. It's not something that you can wing. It's not something that you do intuitively. It's something that as you are immersed in it, you manage from one crisis to the next, you become more adept and skilled at it, and then you gain mastery, and then you become an expert. You cannot boycott that process. Forget it. What can happen is that you can maybe like shorten or shrink the time in which you become an expert. So if you took someone that is 20 years in the field, for example, if it took them, let's say 7-8 years to become an expert, you can decide, okay, I'm going to do this in 5 years, but you must apply yourself to the rigor. You must give yourself to the process. You must learn. You will make mistakes, and you keep learning and develop and grow. And truly, that's how you will become an expert. So what I would say is, rather than look for a cheat sheet or a shortcut, why don't you have a plan? Have a plan to say, in the next 2, 3, 4 years or whatever number of years, I want to become an expert. I want to become an expert in media relations. I want to become an expert in crisis communications. I want to become an expert in internal communications. Where am I now? And what do I need to do to master it? It means that you need to understand the principles. It means that you need to understand the frameworks. It means that you need to be exposed to scenarios or situations where you are actually applying these principles and frameworks. So it moves from head knowledge to tangible, practical knowledge that you have applied and you have delivered results, and you're able to also tweak as well. So you need to have a plan. So do you need to go and get further education? Do you need to gain practical experience? What kind of experience do you need to gain over time? At what level? So some of you, for example, maybe you've been developing comm strategies for startups and you want to become an expert. You have to have that exposure of, how do I develop communication strategy for a multinational? How do I develop comm strategy for an organization that has different layers, that has different maybe it's a house of brands, for example. How do you develop comms strategy for that kind of organization? It's very, very, very different from if it's just startup. So you then say, okay, I need to get the experience. And that's why for me, I really love my career trajectory so far. I've learned in multiple scenarios and multiple settings. So I know how comms principle work across board in multiple settings, not even, and multiple localities, not even just in Nigeria. Pan-African setting, global setting, because I've worked on global briefs, I've worked on Pan-African briefs. So you can't now compare the expertise and the knowledge that I have with someone that you only develop comms strategies for startups. Yeah, you may be an expert in that in terms of startups, but then when the stakes are higher, you may struggle because you don't have the context of application in those scenarios and settings, but you can learn it. I really believe in having a plan. I really believe in saying, okay, this is what I want to do. How do I get there? And then you begin to have the plan towards becoming an expert in whatever it is you want to become an expert in. So pretty much have a plan to develop the core competencies, learn it, study it. If you cannot go for a master's, do short courses, buy books. I think I'll keep drumming this thing. Books shorten your learning curve. If you get a good book or good books on a particular topic, you'll be fine, right? So shorten your learning curve, get the practical knowledge, the learning, that's the academic side of it. So if you want to go for a master's, you want to get a certification, you're reading books, and then the application side of things. Don't do one without the other. And finally, if you want to become a comms expert, you have to develop your critical thinking skills and your ability to deliver strategic advice, because for you to become an expert, it means that you're operating at the highest levels of this field, and the highest levels requires critical thinking. What that also means is that you have an understanding of different contexts. So you're looking at something and you're looking at the business implications. You're looking at something and you're looking at the societal implications. You're looking at something and you're looking at the legal implications. And you're thinking critically across board, and you are giving strategic advice that takes into consideration all these other things. You're even thinking about, depending on what it is, you're even thinking about, this is not the right time for us to send this kind of messaging because something is happening in this community, because this audience group, this is their current sentiment. I recommend that we wait till after, or this is the end of the year, this is not going to land well. Can we perhaps move this to Q2? That understanding, it doesn't really come from books. It really actually does come from the experience, the practice of it. There are things that I know now that I didn't learn from a book. I've learned by doing. I've learned by watching. I've learned from learning from my senior colleagues. I've learned by asking questions. So that's why I say there's no cheat sheet. Just give yourself to the process. And in giving yourself to the process and giving yourself time, right? So don't come and say, you just have 2 years, 3 years experience, and next day you want to become an expert. I will tell you, please be calming down. Give yourself time. And that's the beauty of time. Time allows you to grow. Time gives you that benefit of hindsight. It gives you that ability to say, oh, this works. I know because it is tried and tested. I've tried and tested it over time, and you've seen the results. And it allows you to do, there's some parts that you may require trial and error for certain things, because again, this field keeps evolving. So the point really is, give yourself time, allow yourself to apply the knowledge, so gain the knowledge, give yourself time to apply it, and submit yourself to the process. And you will find that in due time, you would actually become an expert. There is no cheat sheet, but it's absolutely possible for you to become an expert in this field. So yeah, I hope that you found that valuable. If you have contrary thoughts or you're like, I don't agree with you, hey, please feel free to share with me in the comment section. And then if you have any questions, as always, let me know in the comment section, or you can also send me an email. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you for watching. Bye.